interviewed one of the instructional assistants. Most of the students here who have a disability that warrants an instructional assistant has one that goes with them to all their classes. And her name was Mrs. Cohen, and Mrs. Cohen was very helpful. She gave me lots of information. Basically, I asked her what the roles were, and she says in the beginning of the year, you receive the child that you'll be working with, so you're usually responsible for one child, and you're just supposed to keep them on track, make sure that they're on time for class, know their school schedule, that they know their school schedule, and that they stay organized, that all their homework's together, and that way their binders are all organized. That way when they come to take a test or when they're studying, they can find their resources. You're supposed to familiarize yourself with their IEP. Actually, this isn't really something that's told that they have to do, but this particular instructional assistant says she takes it upon herself to make sure that she familiarizes herself with the IEP and knowing the student's goals, as she should, because that way she knows exactly how to help them in the classroom. When she knows their goals, she knows how much aid that they really need and how much they can get, and of course getting to know the student will get you there that far anyways. But all of the responsibilities and the students are assigned from the IEP chair. So after you get your student and you meet your student and you're working with them, this IA said she also talked to the case manager, and she believes that all instructional assistants should talk to the case managers about the students because they have the most information based on their testing results, and they attend the team meetings and everything like that, so they know exactly what kind of accommodations and modifications the students are supposed to receive to the curriculum. So as far as the communication with the teacher goes, she says that it's very front heavy on her part. She is the person who normally initiates most of ensuring the students get what they need, especially if it's in a general education setting, which was a little hard for me to hear, that maybe sometimes the general education teachers aren't really taking the special education aspect very seriously. She usually makes sure that she approaches the teachers and ensures that they're modifying and adapting the work to how the student's supposed to get the modifications and accommodations. And she said that she even takes it upon herself to look for different resources to help the student because, you develop such a relationship with the student, you want them to do well. So she ensures that the teacher knows the student's accommodations and knows that the student is completing their own work and that the teacher is not sitting there doing the work for them. Some of the students do get a scribe, but that doesn't mean that they're not supposed to do anything. So it's, kind of making sure that the students understand that they're still responsible for completing their own work. And she did hint that a lot of students develop learned helplessness as a result of having these instructional assistants because they grow so dependent on having them do their work for them that she takes it upon herself to make sure that her student is really applying himself. And she says she has her own little system where she writes things in pencil and the student writes things in pen. So everything that's written in pencil, is written by the instructional assistant versus the work that's written in pen is written by the student. So it's a clear, easy way for the teacher to distinguish. I think that really helps the teacher to understand that the student really is doing their work and that the instructional assistant isn't doing the work for them. And so she says she likes to confirm with the teacher to make sure whether or not the assignments are going to be graded and how maybe the grades can be adapted for this particular student. And lastly, she says she just makes sure that she wants to make sure that the student feels good. She doesn't want to beat the student up about things that he can't do. So I guess you can kind of say that the instructional assistant is a little cheerleader. It's almost like having a parent there with you in school because they're guiding you and keeping you on task and making sure you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, but also that you feel good about it because a lot of times these kids, they just get so knocked down about the things that they can't do. It makes them feel good when they can do the things that they can and that there's somebody there who believes in them doing the things that they can. So the instructional assistants are a great help here. I work a lot with them because a lot of my students have instructional assistants, so I think that they're a great resource to have. I do agree that sometimes they can be a little over-accommodating and the students have a learned helplessness as a result of that, but that's not always the case. So it's exciting that they're here, and I feel like I said exciting a lot, but I'm happy that they're here and they're a great resource for the students and for that buffer between the special education and the general education and the student. Everybody is just making sure the student is well taken care of.